Ohio has become one of the most infamous states, so much so that ever since I came out as an Ohioan, everyone sends me everything about the state. Dude, I've seen this billboard more than I've seen some of my cousins. It's also gotten to the point that Ohio has become a dictionary word in Gen Alpha brain rot, which has not helped our reputation over the seas. To which some of you might be going, what reputation? Because a core sentiment from everyone is that there's nothing in Ohio besides corn. And you know what? I've had enough of this objectively false statement. I'm sick of being treated as if we're Montana, so today I'm putting an end to this once and for all. I'm gonna prove that Ohio is a good state. Now from June to July, me and my sister Alex will be doing as many things as humanly possible in the great state of Ohio. And there was a lot to do, so much so that I asked y'all for your suggestions. We modeled this road trip off of those suggestions and things we wanted to do. But enough yapping, let's get driving. The most epic road trip ever put to YouTube history started in the early morning of Wednesday, June 24th, where we headed from Columbus to Sandusky, Ohio for one of the greatest amusement parks in the world, Cedar Point. In 1870, Cedar Point opened up in Sandusky, Ohio as a public bathing beach to rave reviews, because what else was there to do in 1870 besides stan Ohio icon Ulysses S. Grant? It wasn't until 1892, however, that they unveiled their first roller coaster, the Switchback Railway, which broke land speed records at a breathtaking 10 miles per hour. And now we transition to 2024. So Alex and I began our first drive and we're in the highest of spirits for our first block of this road trip.
I can do all things. Who is this boy?
When we got to Cedar Point, we learned some unfortunate news, however. Top Thrill 2, the sequel to Top Thrill Dragster, it's in the name, was still shut. It was open for 8 whole days before they shut it down. Editing Tony here, which by the way, it's August 5th as I edit this right now. The video's coming out August 9th. Top Thrill tested last week, and it's still shut. For all the roller coaster nerds, it's because Cedar Fair didn't let Intamin do the refurbishment. They gave all the responsibility to Zamperla. For a more internet comparison, it's like if they decided the best way to save Mr. Beast's reputation would be to give the channel to J-Station. So we walked around for a little bit and we realized that every line was very long, despite it being a summer Monday. So we started with Rougarou. Now for some Tony lore, I rode Rougarou one time when it was a stand-up when I was about 12 years old. So it didn't hurt my balls like it did for my adult father. However, as an older man now, and now that it's a sit-down roller coaster, it jackhammered my head into every flip and turn, which was a great way to start the day. After avoiding a headache with Rougarou, we headed towards Steel Vengeance as it had about a 30-minute wait. This roller coaster was designed by a 50-year-old toddler. They basically took a wooden roller coaster that everyone said they felt like they were gonna die on and made it a 205-foot tall hybrid roller coaster that flips you around so much that I accidentally elbowed Alex in the face on one of the inversions and gave her a hairline fracture.
Editing Alex here. Tony did elbow me right here in the fucking head and it hurt for a solid 2-3 weeks after the fact. So yes, he probably did give me a hairline fracture and yes, I am okay now.
Now there's a lot of fun stuff to do at Cedar Point, but because we have so much to cover in this video, here's just some of the highlights. Now, if you don't want to ride one of the crazy roller coasters, but still get that adrenaline rush, you can ride the carousel that feels like it's going 200 miles per hour and then you feel like you'll go flying off of it if you don't hold on for dear life. Another reason we rode this is that I need to practice riding horses for something we're gonna do later in this video. And I was having the time of my life taming this horse and riding him to the finish line. We also rode Magnum XL 200, which was the first roller coaster ever to be built over 200 feet tall. Recently, they've given it new trains, which is great, but those restraints still hurt like hell on those 4 final bunny hills. We were sat in the second row, and in the very first row, the guy was like, wee, on every big hill. And then on those final 4 bunny hills that try to kill you, he went from wee to, oh, fuck! So after we called it quits at Cedar Point, we headed out to our first hotel of the road trip. And spoiler alert, was gonna be the only hotel of the road trip because we had a great time. For reference, we got this hotel room for about 80 bucks. And this 80-buck hotel room had its fun quirks.
Also about this very tiny bathroom is when you want to turn on the light, it flashbangs you. I did not increase the volume. This is how loud it is.
Not to mention this non-smoking room reeked of cigarette smoke and the curtains did not block out any light. However, let me say the positives. There were no bed bugs. Day 2. The very next day, we got in the car and I ate breakfast for the first time in years. After breakfast, we hopped onto the freeway and drove from Sandusky to Cleveland for our first stop, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Gay people! Yay!
So we parked and almost illegally entered into the nearby Science Center on accident. We found the right place and bought our tickets and stepped into a world of fun. We first walked around the 50 years of hip hop section, which was awesome to see as someone who's been a fan of the genre basically my whole life since my dad first showed it to me. And it was great for Alex, who recognized Ice-T from Law & Order. So we headed up the escalator to the second floor, which is where the garage is located. The garage is an area for musicians to jam out together or even learn how to play.
You're looking at me a seizure.
Now, full transparency, I suck at guitar and I've always wanted to get better at playing drums, so they have a play along with the screen that's pretty cool. But of course, when I sat down, the play button was broken, so I could not play along to anything, so I made up my own song. Now going up onto the next floor, we found a place where you can vote for who's next to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Some people who have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Queen, Elvis, Missy Elliott, Rage Against the Machine, and I voted for Lil Wayne because it hasn't been 25 years since Emily Montez's first commercial recording. Now before we left the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we found a logo generator, and of course we had to make logos for our sweet baby chairs. Kevin's logo called him a rock rebel because he knows what Radio Rebel is, and Calvin's logo looked like you searched up cool font generator, and they actually print these logos onto stickers, and they only printed Calvin's because this thing took like 8 years to print a single sticker. So grabbing those fun stickers, we left the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to hit our next fun adventure, the Art Museum. And I also think this is a good time to put Cleveland on blast real quick. As someone who lives mostly in Georgia now, I feel very qualified to say that Cleveland has some of the worst drivers I've ever had the mispleasure of sharing the road with. There was a head-on collision between a car and a truck underneath this bridge, right? So there was like a 30-car pileup that were all trying to turn 180 because we didn't know this happened. This asshole who could not handle waiting the length of a Pink Panther song just barrels in front of the car in front of us and almost like takes off their front bumper entirely. So this guy wails on the horn for like 15 seconds as this guy just barrels through as the other car decides, I think this is a good idea to turn, and turns right in front of him. They almost hit each other, and Alex and I are like, don't go up that hill, just go forward. How are Cleveland drivers worse than Atlanta? Anyways, we finally made it to the Art Museum and we had a lot of fun. And I just gotta say, it is really funny seeing stellar, near priceless art residing in the middle of Cleveland of all places. Don't get me wrong, this place is awesome. There were a lot of cool interactive exhibits, like how there was a security guard that kept watching me and Alex from afar like this, and also this portrayal of Jesus. I've seen plenty of crucifixes in my lifetime, and I think this one actually has Jesus' soul trapped in it. Now, as we left the art museum, we made a quick pit stop to visit an old friend of ours, former US President James A. Garfield. One thing about Ohio is that we have given you a lot of presidents, and maybe unrelated, 50% of assassinated presidents were Ohioans. Also forgot to mention, James A. Garfield got assassinated, so he's making up 25% of the assassinations. So with an hour left before the grave shut, we threw Tony Carr in park, hopefully not on someone's grave, hopefully not, and entered inside the domed arena. Now, when you walk inside, you are greeted by a circular room around a statue of James A. Garfield who stares into your soul.
I checked, he's dead everywhere.
What's even cooler is when you walk to the left, there's this terrifying spiral staircase that leads you down to a tomb with Garfield's sarcophagus lit by fucking nothing. Because not only is it visually terrifying, but it is auditorily horrifying, with these goddamn fans giving this constant ominous hum as you witness the former president's corpse. Which is what you want in a memorial. So after confronting mortality, we got out of there, and like the British when they saw the mummies, we were getting pretty hungry. So we set our course to Little Italy. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Italian immigrants came to Cleveland to start a new life for themselves and their families. Now that place is now called Little Italy and is full of Italian restaurants on top of each other. So we grabbed dinner at Mama Santo's. Now the ambiance there was pretty great too, because this guy's phone just kept ringing at 100% volume, and no one at his table said or did anything about it. So after we paid for our meal, we left to hit the greatest place known to man, so much so that our mortal bodies could not handle the excitement.
I'm bleeding. I have blood on my hands.
Alex was bleeding with excitement because we were making the trek to northern Ohio to hit Judy's Jungle. Judy's Jungle, described by Atlas Obscura, is a fiberglass jungle deep in the wilds of the Cleveland suburbs. And that's all we read before we put it onto the list, because as we drove to it and put the location in our GPS, we realized they weren't lying. They did mean the Cleveland suburbs. This is literally someone's backyard. Judy's Jungle could have been deforested and we would have no idea until we got there. So as we were getting closer, it was like about the same level of anxiousness I had driving to Ocala, Florida for that Fred CD. I have no clue if it's gonna be there, but we still trekked on. So we pulled off of the freeway and turned into the suburbs, realizing it is genuinely going to be in somebody's backyard. Oh my God. We were losing hope, not even sure where to look until...
This is the address here. It says turn left here.
Judy's Jungle! Judy's Jungle! Turn left, go in the parking lot. Oh my God!
Yeah! Judy! 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 Judy!
This is literally just the shipping and receiving parking lot.
Entering into a fiberglass utopia like Judy's Jungle felt like a comforting hug from all my animal friends. I had so much fun seeing all the wildlife, like lion, giraffe with no head, fish, dinosaur, camel. All I know is I found home. While I was feeling euphoria, Alex's nose was on red alert.
I smell natural gas. We need to evacuate the premises immediately.
Yeah, turns out we visited Judy's Jungle during what smelled like a literal gas leak, so we got the hell out of there. Now, frankly, I think dying there at Judy's Jungle would be a perfect bookend on my life. But I'm not about to experience the effects of Chernobyl in Judy's Jungle. God, I wish I could go back already. Alex and I said goodbye to Judy's Jungle, so we hit our next fun place, which is James A. Garfield's house that is available to tour. And oh, what's that?
Yeah. That's a cool looking house. It's shot.
We just just finished what's called the mentor duo. Everyone in Ohio talks about it. It's when you hit Judy. It's when you hit Judy's Jungle as a gas leak is happening, and then you go to James A. Garfield National Historic Site while it's shut. It's crazy. There's nothing better to do in Mentor. And you also have a map. That's everything to do in Ohio. Everyone thinks Ohio is just Mentor.
Mentor, Ohio was awesome to visit because it was the perfect nothing burger, but that didn't change the fact that Alex and I were having so much fun. On reflection, it's not the Mentor duo, it's actually the Mentor trio, because the upcoming James Gunn superhero movie is actually filming in Cleveland, with them specifically filming on this beach in Mentor, Ohio. This was exciting because we were running out of daylight, which means the filming should be wrapping up at that point, so we might be able to get a glimpse. Oh, the stairs don't exist?
Hey Alex, what's it say?
It says danger erosion, do not access beach area.
Yep, once again, we're completing the Mentor trio, actually. It's where you can't go to the beach.
The one beach we couldn't go to the beach.
So I made the most out of the situation and made myself very appealing to Dr. Disrespect. After that, we drove about 10 minutes to try and get on the same beach, and that didn't work either, so we drove another 10 minutes and finally got to step on the beach. After a very long day, it was really nice to just see the beauty of Lake Erie and feel the chapter close on the second day of this road trip. So we stayed the night at our cousin's and headed roughly an hour away to the memorial of William McKinley, the other Ohio president to be assassinated. The drive was going great.
LeBron James, 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 LeBron James. Yes! I got all LeBron James.
After a brisk hour, we finally made it to the memorial and had a burning question.
Is it free?
Now, it turns out it was free to go to the memorial, but there were a lot of rules to follow.
Walk and run. You have to have dignity befitting the president. You can use the steps, but don't bring exercise equipment. Don't organize exercise classes.
Oh, I have my dignity.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, Alex is the resident history buff among us, as seen in videos like my Corey in the House video, but even she had to admit something.
Do you know anything about McKinley?
Not a single thing. I know he's dead.
So we walked past the various rule breakers and entered into yet another domed fortress hosting yet another assassinated Ohio president. We walked with dignity around the resting place of Wikipedia's words, an above average president. We did the American thing to do, which is of course take selfies in front of his grave. And then we walked down the numerous stairs for the main reason we came all the way down there.
All right, guys, we just saw McKinley's dead corpse. Now let's go see his animatronic.
That's right, kids! Roughly 300 feet away from the grave of a former US president is a children's science museum with animatronic dinosaurs that scream! The McKinley Presidential Library and Museum is an acid trip because you'll have animatronic dinosaurs with fun activities, and then 100 feet away is a literal pet store with a quiz about water that Alex and I were acing.
32.
No, let me push it.
You all want to do it.
This is awesome. Dude, we got 400 points.
I think we're winning. Oh God,
Who
okay.
is it? Mariana Trench.
Yeah, that one's easy. I want to go to the Puerto Rico trench.
They also had a funnel to the outside so live bees could come inside and harvest honey protected from the elements. And next to that was a green screen news report service that was so poorly lit, it looked amazing. I mean this in the best way possible. It's like a toddler designed a utopia. So we have awesome dinosaur, then we have pet store, then fun science center, then movie, and for the adults, of course, the puppeteered corpses of our dead president and his wife.
Remember that day back in 1867 when we met?
There is no better way to phrase this than the fact that this is terrifying. Why does McKinley look like my grandfather? We also learned that McKinley called himself Coffee Bill, which is awesome. Then if you weren't sold on the puppeteered corpses of our dead president and his dead wife, then we have a fake town with countless mannequins that speak and tell you about their life, which wasn't scary at all. I also learned you could spam the dialogue button to make the doctor repeat himself, which was really funny. There's also a teacup ride right in front of McKinley's animated corpse that sounds like it hasn't been oiled since McKinley was president. So safe to say this was a child's wonderland. So much so that I got a gift for Kevin because he loves dinosaurs and science. Kevin, do you love your gift?
He is so cool.
Saying goodbye to the McKinley Presidential Library and Museum was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but we had to leave because we had tickets for other things today. Our next stop was the elusive Grandpa's Cheese Barn, which is like if you visited a Buc-ee's in your dream. Instead of brisket, it's cheese and it's also a barn, and oh my God, everywhere you look is cheese and it's so good. In the top of the barn, they offer samples of nearly every cheese, so of course I had to try 3 cheeses. The pizza cheese I tried was it wasn't really really that good. It kind of tasted like a Lunchable, which the guy told me it would. And then I tried a different Italian cheese that actually tasted like a pizza, and it was really good. But what they sold me on was their buffalo pepper cheddar cheese that was so good. I cannot put it into words how good this cheese was. I bought that cheese about a month ago, and I've been snacking on it ever since. It goes great on grilled cheeses, chilies, soups, just anything. Even just eating it on its own, it's really good. It balances the spice and flavor so well that I cannot recommend this enough. Grandpa's Cheese Barn was also a great place to grab a little snack before we set our sights on the final stop on this first leg of the road trip. Because that's right, we're going to prison, baby. Shawshank Prison, that is. Because we actually have tickets for a self-guided tour at the Ohio Reformatory, best known for its role in the Shawshank Redemption as the prison. The Shawshank Redemption is a movie I saw for the first time like 5 days prior to this day because I wanted it to be as fresh in my mind as possible. So after accidentally almost driving into the real prison parking lot and having all the inmates stare at us the entire time we turned around, we got out of the car and saw some new fun friends.
Morgan Freeman, he's in the window.
Something huge about Shawshank that impressed both of us was that there are guardrails to help keep you on the right path and keep you out of restricted areas, which yes, sounds like common sense until you realize that you are on your own in this massive place. It is 40 acres, which is about the length of 33 million Christmas with the Cranks DVDs. So we walked in and learned the history of the reformatory, which was great because we were haunted by a guided tour that was going the exact same pace as us. The workers kept looking at us, we kept looking at the workers. Tim Robbins' soul was still trapped in the prison. Everything was staying consistent. So we went up the stairs to the top floor, which was under construction, but still on tour, which led us to the church that terrifyingly connected to the top of the 6th floor prison. Now, I'm not amazing with heights, but I'm gonna be so real. This is the scariest thing I've ever done for this channel. There was no support beams underneath this walkway. It is literally connected into the wall, into the raggedy 6th floor cage of the prison. It is horrifying. Yes, it was caged in, but every step made this monstrous noise with every footstep. We even heard the people in the previous group coming by as we were like far away at that point.
This is the bad ending of my career.
One of the huge things about Shawshank, besides its sheer size, is its history, which makes it ripe for ghosts and ghost hunters. I've always been fascinated by ghosts and the possibility of the afterlife, but I've never had any actual concrete evidence to convince me. However, I will say this, when Alex and I were in a side room, completely alone, at the same exact time, we both felt the same static feeling in our arm as if we just got electrocuted the second we stepped foot in the room.
Alex, my arm just started feeling weird.
Yeah, no, right here, my hands just felt electrocuted.
Both of us, same time, same arm. I'm just saying that's crazy. As we wrapped our time up at the fun prison and kept running into the other goddamn tour room, we marked ourselves down on the map where everyone says where they come from and their name. You might be wondering, why did I choose the name Kevin, not Tony or Syonide? For 2 reasons. 1, Kevin is the name of my chair. I love him so much. He's my sweet baby boy. 2, Kevin Kurgis is the name of an accident lawyer that has the funniest commercials that deeply changed me as a child.
Don't throw things at me. Stop it. Stop it.
Kevin Kurgis, and I'm a lawyer.
Go watch that video, it's a classic. So we then said our goodbyes to Shawshank and escaped.
I don't see why they made such a big deal out of that. I just walked out the front door. That was pretty easy.
It was a fittingly gloomy end to the day as we got ready to drive home and finally sleep in our own beds for once. But more importantly, I could finally see what my sweet baby chairs were up to while Alex and I were gone.
Oh man, I'm so glad we're back home from the road trip. Oh my God! Kevin, what happened to the kitchen?
You and Alex left for the road trip, so we got hungry and ate all the food, and then Kelvin ate the kitchen in protest.
Okay.
In our defense, we don't know how to cook.
Did you know you could have used today's sponsor, Factor? Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. With 35 options per week ranging from low-cal, keto, vegan, and vegetarian, there's an option for everyone to choose from.
As someone who spends 75% of the year in Georgia, anyone who lives there can verify just how ridiculous the delivery fees can get. Factor helps with that because you're essentially getting 10 meals for the price of trying to get 3 burritos on delivery apps in Georgia. And that's somehow not a joke. Alex and I tried the smoky Gouda chicken with roasted red potatoes and Parmesan green beans, and it tasted so good. I highly recommend getting this one. So if you want to stop relying on takeout but love the convenience of it, get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone.
So yeah, where's Kelvin?
He's playing hide and seek.
Oh, okay. So we just ate at Fun Mexican Restaurant, and it's great. And now we're going where, everybody? Let's say it on 3. Back shots. 3, AJR! Yeah! 2003 and then just said 3.
All right, for this segment, we have to rewind all the way back to 2023 when my friend Jayson, better known as What the Pup, asked me if I wanted to listen to AJR for a video. Jayson's been working on a video where they listen to the entire AJR discography to see if AJR really deserves all the hate they get. If you don't know who AJR is, they are a trio comprising of the brothers Adam, Jack, and Ryan Met. Their music rests in the indie pop label, but a lot of their detractors call their music Disney pop, because it kind of sounds like a Disney song. I'm in that video. I'm excited to see it's going to come out at some point this year. But to summarize why I'm mentioning that in this video is because we joked about seeing AJR when they would come to Columbus in summer of 2024. Like most things, it was really funny in theory, but got very funny on June 28th when we actually met up in person to do it.
AJR! 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 AJR!
Because this was the first time I met Jayson in person after 5 years of knowing them. We've been in a band together. I also met Cameron, better known as Cheap Thrill, for the very first time in person too. He make dubstep.
Editing Tony here. Just want to announce that me and Cameron tomorrow are streaming at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Art by Form Twitch channel for their all-nighter event. They're raising money for charity. There's going to be a lot of cool musicians after our hour-long segment. So if you can come on by, please do. All right, back to the AJR video, I guess.
So in our group, we had Jayson, who literally listened to every AJR song, Cameron and I, who have listened to 2 AJR albums, and Alex, who has never listened to any AJR songs. So we had a great balance. You may notice that in this shot, we're all wearing identical shirts because we are. AJR is currently on tour for their latest album, The Maybe Man, and one of the singles for this album is called The DJ Is Crying for Help. And the cover art for that song looks like this. Who greenlit this? Anyways, doesn't matter because we sat our white asses down to listen.
We got our favorite countries: America, Canada, Ohio.
We cut the last half of Almost Monday's opening act and then MXM tune. I'm just gonna call her Maya. My favorite part of Maya's set being this part where she introduced her song Sad Disco.
It has sad in the title, but absolutely don't feel that way at all. This one is called Sad Disco.
Oh my god.
As an empath, I can sense that she's sad.
Honestly, the rest of her set was pretty fun. The 4 of us were having a good time. However, Jayson pointed out something that was gonna stay consistent the entire show.
Look at the pants. And just like, you paid $200 to stand.
These people paid over $200 for front row tickets, frankly, mosh pit seating, and they weren't moving a fucking muscle. The pit was acting like Maya was Lemonade Mouth when they all had broken arms. Didn't matter though, because the 4 of us were loving it. Anyways, AJR finally took the stage. And I think now is the time I should mention my favorite AJR lyric, which is from their newest album here, which is the way they single in the first drop of the entire album. What do you think that lyric is? That being 1, 2, Pandemonia! Which might be the funniest pre-drop vocal I've ever heard in my entire life. In fact, Jayson, Cameron, and I all love that line so much that it's on the back of these abysmal t-shirts. I cannot believe we wore these in public. Anyways, Jayson and I were preparing for them to scream this lyric because it's in this opening song. They kept showing like 20 body doubles of the main singer. It was really cool. And it kept crescendoing until... Yeah, the 4 of us got so hyped that Cameron and I bumped into each other and my phone went flying into the row in front of us. Luckily, the people in front of me gave my phone back 10 seconds later. They were really nice. Thank you so much.
Cameron slammed the phone on the... It was 1-2 Pandemonia, my head.
Now, on the internet, AJR is kind of a hot button issue. Either you love them or you hate them. And I want it to be known that I am not shitting on their music or anyone who enjoys the band. They honestly seem like fun, creative people to be around, and I'm glad they found an audience that's extremely passionate for the material they make. But that does not change the fact that I'm just honestly not a huge fan of their music. And I normally hate this argument because it's not true like 90% of the time, but all the music on these albums sounded the fucking same, man. At this concert, 75% of the music sounded like continuations of the previous song, just with different lyrics. That being said, the only way I could identify certain songs were with the so bad it's good lyrics that I could remember. Like when I forgot how the chorus to 100 Bad Days went and I started hyena laughing at it. It's a combination of the lyric and the fact that they pitched their vocal down at least a full octave, which is so funny.
100 bad days makes 100 good stories. 100 good stories makes me interesting at parties.
Why does he say it like that? So while I'm not a fan of their music, I still went into their concert with an open mind because I had a theory long before I went to it And this concert honestly affirmed it. Music like AJR's is meant to be played at arena tours, like in stadiums with everyone screaming the lyrics back at them. That is when their music flourishes. I mean this, everyone in the room, including the band, was having the fucking time of their life singing along to these songs, including the four of us when we knew the words. God, it was so fun. Because not only are they playing pretty well, they have an incredible stage show that was genuinely impressive. Like the sheer fact that Jack is flying around the stage on wires continuously and he is able to control his singing as well as he does makes me respect the band more, honestly. They kept doing stuff with body doubles, which caught me off guard a few times. Like the first time they have Jack walk out on the stage, hit a button that's on a stage screen, and then he descends into the stage, and then not even 2 seconds later, he pops out from the rafters on wires. It was honestly really awesome. They had screen projections playing with shadows that were really cool. They had lighting packages that were literally blinding at times. And honestly, they just had a great stage presence that made the music hit way harder than it does on headphones at home. I was reaffirmed in this theory of mine when they stripped away any gimmicks of the show and just had Ryan on the piano, where he performed 3 songs back to back, because it was just 9 minutes of slow piano ballads that was putting Alex to sleep. Also, people started leaving during that moment. Luckily, they followed that up with a huge highlight of the show where they had Jack in the nosebleeds with a guitar doing a sing-along with the entire audience performing one of their biggest hits. Did they turn the Big Bang Theory opening into a song? Yes. Did it bang in this context? Yes. Anyways, at this point in the show, they did a bit where Jack had to run all the way from the nosebleeds back to the front of the stage to finish the song they were playing. They implied that he had less than a minute to do so, mainly because they showed this bit in a TikTok of theirs where he did it in 45 seconds. But at our show, he took like 3 minutes. Still impressive, but in comparison, it's like fine. Anyways, there was nothing else to really note about the show other than the part where they were talking about how everybody on the internet always clowns on them and have always hated them. Which the 4 of us all kind of looked at each other wearing our funny shirts and going like, oops, sorry. This then led to Jack talking about how they lost their father last year, who was their #1 supporter, and that he was the reason they kept going on, even though it seemed like literally everyone was against them and rooting for them to fail. It was honestly a very touching and vulnerable moment that I would normally not bring up in a silly video like this, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because no less than 35 seconds later, after bringing up this insurmountable loss the lead singer shouted out loud, "Fuck those high school bullies!" This show became fucking magical, dude. And I also want to bring up, we have no footage of this moment because Jason and I both put away our cameras to be respectful. We didn't want to document this. And after he screamed out loud about the high school bullies, I heard Jayson say, "God damn it, I stopped filming." I'd give the AJR concert about an 8 out of 10. I had a lot of fun. I mean, no hate to any of the band, the fans, both of the opening acts. Everyone killed it. Honestly, it was a really great show. And I also want to say this, put this on record. I genuinely believe that in 10 to 20 years, AJR should have a permanent Vegas residency because they put on a hell of a show. I mean that as the highest compliment. Shout out AJR. If the band looks like this, you're gonna die.
You're about to die. After all wearing like artist shirts too.
Now, another reason that Jayson and Cameron came down into town was because we made a song for the final Silken Wood compilation, an underground electronic music label that rules. So we made a metalcore song in under 24 hours for their 3-day sleepover compilation because the 3 of us all love that genre of music, and my music has been slowly going towards that lane this entire decade. It was a lot of fun because I got to see dubstep and Metal Boy Cheap Thrill do literal screamo vocals in my basement right there.
I have to turn away!
Cameron stubbed his toe.
We also got Jayson to do metal screams for the very first time, which is far from their branding. Making that song with the 2 of them was some of the most fun I've had making music in literal years. The song's called Choice of Words. It's on SoundCloud right now. Should be on streaming pretty soon.
Baby's first mosh pit.
Now with 2 of my friends gone, it was time for Alex and I to make some new friends at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. Now, one of the highlights of Ohio is that we have the biggest zoo in the country, tied only with Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida. And when you go to the Columbus Zoo, you can tell how massive it is. There's an exuberant amount of animal exhibits, a massive aquarium, a giant water park, along with the oldest operating roller coaster in Ohio. There is so much to do here that it's almost impossible to do everything in one day. Luckily, because we've been coming here since I was a literal baby, I've done everything there is to do there. but it's still never a bad idea to visit the zoo. It's a lot of fun. So when I pulled into park, the guy did not scan our ticket, which was awesome.
I want to shout out White Steph Curry, who just looked at our ticket and just said, yep, you're good.
After taking the shuttle to the front of the park, we learned that they are currently expanding because a lot of the front of the park was under construction. But that's completely fine because there are so many areas to walk around in, it didn't really matter. There's a lot of expansive areas, such as the giant Africa exhibit with giraffes and other fun animals. But everybody knows the real fun of the zoo is people watching.
The whole time I was filming the hyena, this child on a stroller was just stared up at me like...
Some woman just yelled at her children, shut up, you're a grown-ass man. This man was like 9.
So after we found all the cool, awesome animals, I saw a new type of child that I frankly have never seen with my own eyes before. A type of child I'm dubbing the leash children. There were at least 5 separate families walking around with their child on a leash, ranging from Walmart brand leash to designer brand leash. I can't believe there's tiers to children on leashes. Anyways, it was awesome because people were open mouth coughing the entire day, which made the atmosphere perfect. Adding to the overall vibe is my favorite stereotype in the entire world, which is that Amish people fucking love the zoo. Every time I've gone to the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, there's at least 5 separate Amish families, all with their horse-drawn carriages and all having a fucking blast watching the monkeys, and it rules. So I want to give a quick shout out to all my Amish fans. Love you guys. You probably aren't listening. Anyways, nearing the end of our visit, we headed to the aquarium, which was always a highlight when Alex and I were kids. And they've actually renovated this area a bit since we last visited. I mean, the main new event was the gift shop had a new screen where you could create your own custom fish to swim around with the other fun fish that the other guests have created. So of course, Alex and I had to create one, and I created my new baby son.
Oh my god, Tony, awesome.
Awesome. There he is. Oh, he looks horrified. Everybody say hello to Awesome. Awesome equals Otto. This is maybe the best exhibit they've had. Ooh, here's your burger.
If you're in the area, I really do recommend the Columbus Zoo. It's awesome. Anyways, we finally headed home, and I cannot wait for us to start the next leg of our adventure tomorrow. So unfortunately, the leash children got to us.
We got sick.
Yeah.
The little children at the zoo touched everything with their germs, and we got the germs, and now we're sick.
The little rat bastard children got us very sick.
Alex and I have theorized that we got sick because we touched the awesome equals thing. And I want to say, if that's true, that gave me the worst illness I've had in a while since 2020, which is where I laid on the floor of my bathroom delirious because I could only sleep for 1 hour at a time. It was awful. This 3-day buffer of Alex and I being sick as hell destroyed our entire plans to the point that we had to reschedule this entire video. But that's previous Tony's problem. I'm the one who's filming this, and then I'm going to pass it off to editing Tony, who's going to edit this video. But I need to rant about something that's near and dear to my heart. What the hell is this place? Now, if you don't know what this beautiful feat of engineering is behind me, this is the Field of Corn. This is an art sculpture in Dublin, Ohio that houses about 109 6 feet tall concrete ears of corn just in the backyard of some random business over there. Now, your immediate reaction may be, what? You're correct. Now, full transparency, this was the original thesis of this video before we started making it about random things in Ohio. That's because when Alex and I started researching into it, Alex became a literal scholar of Cornhenge to the point that I'm putting all her research down in the description. Please read it. It is insane. She goes over stuff I don't even bring up here. In 1990, both the City of Dublin and the Dublin Arts Council formed together to try to create more art to strengthen the tourist trade and to benefit and increase the quality of life here, which is how artist Malcolm Cochrane made this beautiful piece of shit behind me. Going on his own website, we learned there was more lore to this than we ever could have foreseen. The artist said on his own website, I'm going to quote him right here, "I think of this work as a formal, somber memorial for corn production, not unlike a cemetery." Government officials looked at this and went, yup. Now, the art historian in me thinks this is awesome, but the Ohioan in me thinks it's a piece of shit that's beautiful and I never want anyone to remove it. I want you to guess how much this cost our taxpayers and just general Ohio people. If you think it was $10,000, congrats, you're incorrect because it was $20,000. And if you believed me, you are also incorrect again because it was $70,000. A reason I'm so passionate about this place is I've been coming here ever since I was a child. Whenever my family would be in Dublin, Ohio for whatever reason, one of our parents would be like, hey, do you want to go look at the Field of Corn? And we'd go, yeah. This is cathartic to finally put in a real video. And I just want to say, shout out Ohio, shout out Malcolm Cochrane, shout out Dublin. This is the greatest thing ever put to man. And now let's look at how previous Tony is doing because I'm going to go enjoy my life here permanently. I'm Corn Tony, by the way. Thank you, Cornthony. Alex and I had both passed the worst of any of our symptoms and we were feeling better. Plus we both tested negative. So we felt good enough to head out to Data, which is where we set foot in the Air Force Museum.
Jesus.
That's a truck. That's Jesus. Oh my god, I heard a golf cart is rentals. Who the fuck is renting golf carts in Springfield, Ohio at that amount?
What else is there to do in Springfield, Ohio?
When we got there, we parked the car and started heading into the building. And I kind of felt something inside me be like, let's not go too hard today. Let's take it easy, okay? But I made sure to keep that in the back of my head so I could still enjoy the museum. However, unfortunately, I quickly felt a shift from I'm feeling great to holy shit, I'm miserable. And you might be thinking, oh no, were you coughing? Did you have a fever? Did you have a headache? Were you sweating? No, I was just loopy and dizzy.
You look dead.
I was feeling my balance going left to right while standing completely still, and my eyes would also not focus on something or hyper focus on something. Like I couldn't look away or see anything else. I don't know how else to explain how I was feeling without just showing this clip that Alex got of me.
I'm just thinking about how stupid they look. They look.
Tony, do you hate space people?
How much is it showing? I feel like I'm like having an out-of-body experience right now. I feel like I'm already watching the video, but through my eyes.
Your eyes rolled in the back of your head.
I was 15. I went to 13.
I genuinely don't remember doing that. We powered through though, because if you're a fan of the Mentor Trio, you're gonna be a huge fan of the presidential airplanes that have been converted into funhouse walkthroughs.
What was that?
Tier listing all the fun presidential airplanes we've been on. At C tier is all of them because it's a plane.
I mean, I know we were impressed because we left very shortly afterwards.
There's 2 more. You're doing it.
Oh, come on.
Do it.
Oh boy, I wonder what's in this one. I hope there's seats on this one.
Oh, Tony.
Is that plane? Yeah, that ship is.
Why was it so stretched?
Did you know we had like 4 other things we had planned that day that we just canceled?
What was that, Tony?
This is a terrible idea.
Now, extraordinarily, morale was extremely high, but we still wanted to take it light because we felt like shit the previous day. So we just focused on things in downtown Columbus, where we actually headed to a viewer-suggested location. Luckily, the drive there was a nice, easy, calming one to get us back into the road trip mood.
That's the old baseball stadium!
Look at the baseball.
You have to get off of that exit.
Here, the place
here inside. Half the baseball stadium's
fucking van.
Look, that's where we're
go in front of me, fucker!
So we pulled into Green Lawn Cemetery to find our friend, and after almost getting lost, we finally found the grave of Thomas Midgley Jr., the inventor of leaded gasoline and Freon gasoline, which was banned in 2020. God bless this American icon. So we dusted off his grave, paid our respects, and left because what else is there to do at a graveyard? Besides visit other gravestones, which is exactly what we did. Next to an open grave sits this deer with binoculars, which was never explained, but isn't that the beauty of life? In this same graveyard rests a few things like Eddie Rickenbacker and a wolf, because why not? Now, all this Ohioan pride made us pretty hungry, so we set on for downtown to grab lunch at North Market, a food center with a ton of options that rotate around every year or so. We grabbed the chicken parmesan sandwiches at Serafino's, which is always a safe bet, and as I was grabbing a drink, one of the workers asked me about the AJR shirt, and no amount of explanation could reassure him as to why it existed and why I was wearing it. So we drove about half an hour to Delaware, Ohio, and some things were starting to click and look familiar. This is literally the route we took on the Cedar Point day, meaning we could have eliminated this part of the drive altogether if we just put this on the same day of the Cedar Point day, because it's literally 3 minutes out of the way. We are so stupid.
We're fucking idiots.
So after parking, we walked to one of the funniest examples I could use in my argument that Ohio has things to do. I'm of course talking about the birthplace of 19th President Rutherford B. Hayes, that has been turned into a gas station that we took photos of and drove out of our way to go to. And also, while I was finishing the script, we learned that Rutherford B. Hayes was William McKinley's mentor during the Civil War. You know, President Dinosaur? So we made a quick pit stop to salute the statue of Rutherford, and then we stopped in the antique store, which was pretty cool. On the way back to our car, I stopped inside the historic birthplace of Rutherford, and I did the most American thing I could. I bought a Dr. Pepper in his honor. We're collecting dead presidents like they're Pokemon cards, I swear to God.
Little baby chairs, the 2 little chairs named Kevin and Calvin.
Look, I know I just went to the gas station where a president was born, but I think this might be the stupidest day of the entire trip. Now, I don't know how to say this without giggling, but the place that we are driving about an hour and a half for is called Pee Creek.
When I say pee-pee, you say creek.
Oh, what's that smell?
Pee-pee.
Creek.
Pee-pee.
Creek.
Pee-pee.
Creek.
Pee-pee.
This is boring.
You can really tell in this footage that we are just sick of being in this car.
You gotta slow down or I will get car sick.
How fast can I go?
It says 40.
Oh, I'm going 50.
You know what? I'm getting car sick. I don't want to die, Tony. That's the lake that feeds into Pee-Pee Creek.
He does what now?
It feeds Pee-Pee Creek. Ooh, it's pretty.
This is beautiful.
As we edged closer to Pee-Pee Creek, the view was just getting better and better. And after about an hour and a half, we finally got to Pee-Pee Creek. So we looked for any place to stop that wasn't private property, or at least just find a sign that said Pee-Pee Creek. So we pulled down this road, there was nothing, nowhere we could stop. So we looped around and went forward, and still nothing. It got to the point that we followed a truck into the literal woods, basically frolicking with Pee-Pee Creek, and we came to the realization that there's just no sign here.
It's getting scarier.
This is the deepest shit we've ever been in.
This is getting scarier. It got darker.
Editing Tony edited this to be a horror movie.
Now, my theory is the locals were sick of assholes like Alex and I, so they removed the sign if there ever was one. And this was deep, don't trespass on my property vibes. So we drove through the deep woods, finally seeing Pee-Pee Creek come to an end, so we headed to our next location, Peoples.
Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's!
We came to Peoples, Ohio to see the world's largest serpent mound, built around 1,000 years ago, and it's insane to see the sheer size of this monument in person. Unfortunately, the tower to see the mound from the top was broken, but we still managed to walk around it and get angles from everywhere. And we were just gonna loop around the entire snake, and that was until Alex spotted a trail.
I'm going.
Alex and I walked on the trail that was listed as moderate difficulty, and I see why they labeled it as such, because if you take 4 steps to the right, your ass will tumble down this hill at warp speed. So as Alex and I finished walking through this trail, there were some beautiful views of the surrounding area that made the 15-minute hike really worth it.
No, Alex, no. Stop conjuring the wind. Alex, stop conjuring the wind. Stop.
So we headed to our final destination of the day, sticking with the world's largest theme. That, of course, being the world's largest horseshoe crab. The world's largest horseshoe crab is sandwiched in the yard between like 2 homes, and there's a sign-in book to show who's visited and where they're from. It's really cute and really awesome. That was until Alex pointed out something that my eyes kind of glazed over.
Tony, I want you to read the first line in the horseshoe crab plaque.
The horseshoe crab, a living fossil. As science still attempts to disprove the Bible and God's creation, the evidence still stands that the heavens and the earth were created in just 6 literal days. And as science continues to push the theory of millions of years in evolution, those who follow the real history book, the Bible, period, already have the answers.
Now read the last line.
The horseshoe crab.
Read it.
The horseshoe crab crushes all evolutionary beliefs as it has not changed since its creation on day 5.
The horseshoe crab, prove it the liberal strike.
So true.
So after going to Southern Ohio for quite possibly the most inconsequential day of the entire road trip, we set out to climb to the tallest point of Ohio. But we're not going to be doing that on foot per se, because we're going to be climbing to the top of Ohio on horseback. We stepped into the barn and found out that a summer camp was going on the exact same time as we were doing this horseback trip. After we checked in, we finally made it to the waiting area. We were informed we had about 10 minutes to kill, so I had so much fun on this slide.
I'm glad I had my helmet on. That was scary.
Outside of those miniature ponies at the Columbus Zoo when I was like 6 years old, I've never ridden a horse before in my entire life. So I had to impress Alex, who has not only ridden horses before, but is also the resident horse girl in this family. She's also the reason I covered Zac Efron's Horse Girl movie, which was one of my first videos to really blow up on TikTok and boost this channel. So tell me it's not full circle when I found out the horse I was gonna be riding today was named TikTok. And I'll say this, as I mounted that horse, I was so horrified and terrified that I was gonna go flying off. Like I thought TikTok was just gonna boot me out like, ah! I mean, you can kind of see it in this photo where I'm looking like I'm happy, but there is fear behind my eyes of what TikTok could do to me. Luckily she didn't, so we set forth. Now we were in a group of roughly 7 or so, and we were put in the very back, which was for the best. Now, if you've never ridden a horse before, I can't believe that's an unironic sentence coming out of my mouth. I sound like I'm a fucking rich white guy. If you've never ridden a horse before. But if you've never ridden a horse before, you are not prepared for the sensation your legs are gonna feel, because it is a genuine workout on them. It's just sitting on a horse. How could it be so hard? Wrong. You gotta sit perfectly on those stirrups, or else the horse will kill you and you will die. I didn't even really process how much of a workout it was until I got in the car to drive, and when I would push in to put my foot on the gas, my leg would literally start doing this involuntarily. Anyways, back to the ride. So I was 6th in the row, and TikTok continuously, she was very excited by the way, TikTok continuously would just ride up against the ass of the horse in front of her, like face deep in it. And over the hour-length ride, I'd I'd say conservatively she did this about 385 times or something. So about halfway through the ride, I definitely got way better at controlling TikTok, and she definitely sensed that I was not her enemy. So to celebrate, she started pissing. She would also guide me into branches, which was really funny. I mean, I would look out at the view we had and feel like it was the most beautiful and breathtaking thing I've ever seen. And then I look forward and see TikTok had her face in Sela's asshole again. I mean, she knows what she wants. As we rounded out the ride and got to the end point, TikTok literally floored it past the exit. It was trying to go left to the stable because she wanted me off of her. And I had to be like, no, no, no. Luckily, I led her to the exit point. TikTok let me off of her. She trotted back to her stable, and then she just stood there like blankly, like she was an animated character off screen. She's my fucking hero. Alex and I took off our helmets and we went to the gift shop looking at the beautiful merch before settling on getting literal trading cards of our horses, which is going to be very useful later on. Anyways, what a fun day of horsies. Now after that, we took a chill day, but funnily enough, we had to go back to Cleveland for family stuff. But on the drive home from Cleveland, we realized something.
We realized we are about like 3 miles away from Judy's Jungle. So we're having our parents come to Judy's Jungle. Yeah.
I wish to go back to Judy's Jungle, and God granted my wish. So Alex and I seized the opportunity to take our parents to see, with their own eyeballs, the utopia that is Judy's Jungle. When we drove into Judy's Jungle for the second time...
Yeah! Judy! Judy! Yeah!
The first thing we realized is that it no longer smelled like a gas leak was happening, so morale was up.
Anthony is in the jungle.
Tony, there's a dinosaur behind you. Look out.
What'd you think of Judy's Jungle?
Wow. She's speechless.
Leaving Judy's Jungle was even harder the second time, but we powered through because we wanted to go home. On July 7th, we returned to Dayton to do the things we could not do when we were experiencing God. So we hit up Carillon Park first, which taught me that McKinley Dinosaur Museum is not alone because there's more corpses here.
Why does she carry her purse like that?
I do love to travel, whether by railroad coach, automobile, sailing ship.
Carillon Park is like if McKinley's fake town was a real fake town that you could walk into and enter buildings where you can learn about random Ohioans. There's a lot of cool stuff here, like there's an antique carousel next to the train cars you can get in, car models, whatever's up here.
Would I like to meet Mr. Kettering? I don't think so.
Hello there.
I know I've been jokingly referring to the animatronics as corpses, but I do mean it when I say this scared the shit out of me.
It follows your movement. It looks me in the eye.
Hey, Mr. Kettering, you want to look at the iPhone? I'm leaving.
So we got the hell out of there and went outside to discover that it was pouring rain, which I think is because we looked into this corpse's eyes. Luckily, the rain eventually died down, so we made our way into an old building that had very suspicious floorboards and yet another corpse that stared right at you.
Oh, the floorboards are...
Some other cool things that happened here was the fact that this man printed our names out via old printing press materials, which was really dope. We also got to see the Wright brothers plane in person, and I also got to see the choo-choo train going with one family on it. So it was easy to determine Carillon Park as a success. So we headed to our next stop, the resting place of the Wright brothers.
Hey guys, there's a lot of stuff to do in Ohio. A lot of them are related to dead people.
I mean, it's a grave. Our final stop of the day is Young's Dairy, which is an ice cream place that has a ton of cows you can pet, a new carousel, and most importantly, ice cream. Now, my family has visited Young's dozens of times, and in my personal opinion, it's pretty good ice cream. For me, honestly, you cannot beat Grater's, but Young's is still never a bad choice. Alex got peach and I got cookie dough, and we both liked them. All in all, it was a nice way to end off the makeup day as we headed home to rest before our penultimate day. That's because we're heading to Kings Island, baby. Kings Island is the other major amusement park here in Ohio, and in my personal opinion, is on par with, if not better than Cedar Point. Fight me. The operations are consistently better, the lines are never insane, the lineup of rides are great, and also there's less risk of like rides being shut down because a little bit of wind blew. All in all, I just love Kings Island. A good news about the drive to Kings Island is you get to see one of the most beloved road signs to any Ohioan.
Hell is real.
Hell is real.
The world's largest horseshoe crab thinks she's hell is real, and she is not. There's also the sign, if you die today, where would you spend eternity? Which is the most metal lyric that has never existed. So after driving past my beautiful child, me and Alex headed to Fun Island, and we're excited to have a day full of roller coasters and laughter.
The great thing about Kings Island is you usually don't need a fast pass. I don't think I've ever been, I think one day I've been here where it would have been good to get a fast pass.
But then we got to the park around noon and learned something kind of scary. The parking lot was very, very full, fuller than it normally was for a random Thursday in summer. So we headed for the entrance and learned that today was no average day for Kings Island because it was packed. Everything was at least a 60-minute wait, and to add on how cursed this day was, Diamondback, the best ride in the park, was shut. So we walked around the park trying to find any line that wasn't ridiculous.
Recording
Hi. Me neither.
And then we finally found out that Orion had a 30-minute wait, which is unfortunately the best wait of all day. After we finished up with Orion, which was a lot of fun, we decided to check out Racer because that is the canary in the coal mine. Racer on a great day has only a station wait, but on a bad day, the actual like cattle prods in the front are filled up. And then we found out that the wait was 30 minutes for Racer, which is the worst it's ever been in my entire life. We bit the bullet and we bought fast passes. And we bought fast passes that weren't terribly priced compared to Cedar Point's. I mean, they weren't cheap. Thank you once again to Factor for sponsoring this video. But honestly, the price tag for the fast passes was so worth it because we got on Banshee within 2 minutes. Banshee was a 70-minute wait. We also rode Flight of Fear, which has a really funny pre-show because they're trying to show like this futuristic alien technology, but it's futuristic for 1996 because that's when this roller coaster was built. We rode Mystic Timbers in the front row, which was great. And we also rode the Beast and we got the back car, which was horrifying. For reference, the Beast is the world's longest wooden coaster. It's built in a forest. And at night, it is one of the greatest ride experiences you'll ever have because you can't see anything. It is awesome. I also want to point out that the drop off of the second lift hill of the Beast is probably the scariest fucking thing I repeatedly do over and over again. It's awesome. It feels like the roller coaster is going to explode in a good way. We also rode the new roller coaster in the Snoopy area, which Alex also brought up her gripes with Snoopy. She said, I really don't give two shits about him. Now, you may have your critiques of Snoopy, love him, hate him, but there's one thing you cannot dispute. It's that he's the throat goat. This mural has been there ever since I've been going as like a kid, and I take a photo with it every single time. It's so good. Anyways, we headed out after a long day of fast passing and jamming out to the god-awful country covers of popular songs they play, because I guess they don't have the rights to a real song, I guess. But on the ride back, we were so excited knowing we had just one more day of this fucking road trip. Oh my God. Our final day was a doozy because we are tackling Cincy in one day, and we're starting out with the Cincinnati Zoo. The Cincinnati Zoo compared to the Columbus Zoo is noticeably smaller, which isn't saying much because this is still a huge zoo. I actually kind of liked some of the zigzag patterns. It was compact in certain areas that had a real charm to it.
Editing Tony put Brian the Lizard somewhere.
I'm so proud to see that Amish people love the Cincinnati Zoo too. However, there was one main reason that we came to the Cincinnati Zoo, and that was to pay our respects.
The backlash after the killing of an endangered silverback gorilla named Harambe at the Cincinnati Zoo.
I miss him.
Nothing good has happened since he died.
And many are now asking, did Harambe have to die?
Yeah, it turns out we were too late to save Harambe by about 8 years. And yes, the gorilla that held this world together died in my home state. Thank you. And we were so heartbroken that we had to grab some food to fill the void. And unfortunately, a commenter suggested that we have Skyline chili. Yes, I have been alive for about 21 years and I've never even had this Ohio Classic even once. Maybe because my family seriously hates Skyline chili, and even people who like it, like Jayson Kelsey, say it's an acquired taste. But there's only one way to actually find out if something is good or not, and that is to try it. Now, because we weren't about to have chili on spaghetti in the hot sun on a road trip, we got the chili dogs instead. Alex got hers without mustard and I got mine with mustard for the most accurate experience. And when we finally got our food and sat down, we were so excited to dig in.
Your face journey is scaring me.
This might be one of the worst things I've ate in my entire life. I mean, dude, look at this. The meat looks like actual human shit, dude.
Heartwarming.
The cheese was cheap, but at least blanketed some of the terrible taste, but not all of it. And it just had this taste that chili should not have.
My stomach is telling me to stop eating.
Here comes the airplane.
I'm scooping your cheese to get the taste out of my mouth.
This is bad, dude.
I know, it's all
This is bad. To repair the psychic damage, we're looking at photos of our dead cat.
Happy. She works at PayPal now.
So we looked it up and turns out Skyline chili of fucking course has a secret chili recipe, and people theorize that it's cinnamon that they put in it. But Alex and I recognize what the Cincinnati Zoo puts in their Skyline chili for sure. It's fucking nutmeg. And before you go, actually nutmeg isn't in that and you don't know what you're talking about. I had banana soup that has 250 times the amount of daily recommended nutmeg in it, and that taste has been burned into my psyche ever since. I know what I had. To the point that a mother behind Alex told her friend that like, oh my God, the Skyline chili here kind of sucks. It's the worst one. I cannot picture how this could get better. That's how bad it is. This video has been positive PR for Ohio, but I will say that I will give this one to the Ohio haters. There is so much better chili you can get locally. Please just do that instead. Shortly after that, we left the zoo and then we hit the art museum, which was completely free and also awesome. After completing my speed run, we headed to our last major place for the day, something that my mom would keep sending to me on Instagram and got suggested in the comment section, that being Jungle Jim's grocery store. Jungle Jim's is like if IKEA and Rainforest Cafe had a baby that was a grocery store that sold stuff from every country. Stepping inside was like entering heaven, which we learned was massive, so massive that they give you a map for a grocery store. As we walked through the Cincinnati labyrinth, I found another thing that makes Jungle Jim's so special and consistent with this great state of Ohio. Yeah, this one also has animatronics that talk.
Come on in, folks.
Bring your recipes. We have everything you need.
Yeah, we have everything.
I'm in heaven.
This is in the candy section.
We evaded the animatronics and went all around the entire store, being genuinely impressed by the selection that they had. I picked up a Mezzo Mix, which is like an orange Coke that was really good. Alex also got these ginger lemon Haribo gummies that she had once in Italy years ago and has not been able to find since. And we also got snacks for the entire family as well. As we left Jungle Jim's, Alex and I cheered knowing that we completed something that no one on earth has. A road trip. As much pain as this road trip has been to do, to write, and now to edit, it has genuinely been one of the most fun months I've ever had, especially being able to spend time with my sister because she's going back to college. I'm going back to Georgia. And there was also this twinge that this could potentially be my last summer in Ohio, at least living here. I don't know where I'm going after college, if I'm staying in Georgia, coming back to Ohio, going somewhere else. I don't know. And I know this for sure. Stepping back inside home was the greatest feeling in the world, and I slept for what felt like 48 hours. And I and you can now safely say this whenever someone says there's nothing to do in Ohio. Ohio is so weird, only in Ohio skibbity riz. You can look at them and say, Ohio does have a lot of things to do. Just a lot of them revolve around dead people. All right, guys, thanks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to help me in my quest to go from underrated to just rated. And don't forget to politely press that like button, as it's been obliterated too many times. I want to say thanks once again to Factor for sponsoring this video. Please feel free to use the link in my description for 50% off your first box and 20% off the rest of the month. Thank you so much for being patient. I didn't upload last month because this video was a pain in the ass to make, but I'm so glad it's done now. I'm exhausted. Anyways, Kevin's in charge until I get back. Bye.
Stop staring at me.